Hello, Rachel here. Welcome to my Slow TV Stitchery. Well, good morning everybody. So the aim for today is fairly obvious, I think. Finish this corner. And then I will have only one more corner to do. We might go a bit further. So there's more than one indicator that autumn's on its way. One of the indicators in our family is that I tend to have a stack of books ready, and I have quite a collection this autumn. Chris Naunton, who was the director of the Egypt Exploration Society at the time when I first contacted them, has produced a book called Egyptologists' Notebooks, and given his background, it's absolutely certain to include Pendlebury and Carter. So, quite apart from the fact that I'm interested anyway, I have a professional interest, shall we say? That's maybe a bit overheated a phrase, but I have more than one reason to be interested in Chris's book. We'll leave it at that. And that needs to come out. So other books in my stack are a modern retelling of the fable, 15th century fable of Reynard the Fox by Anne-Louise Avery, who writes stunningly beautiful, amazingly atmospheric microfiction on Twitter, among other things. And I am just in awe of what she manages to achieve. And two books that I saw advertised in the bookshop at the Abbey of Fontevraud some time ago. But they were English books by English historians in English, and I didn't really see very much sense in buying them in France and then bringing them home in my suitcase, when it would be altogether easier to buy them in England. And finally I've got round to doing that. The early medieval isn't really my favourite period, but it's one I know not as much about as I would like to. And since my school history lessons concentrated on constitutional history to the exclusion of everything interesting, I am having to make up for lost time now. So, Queens of the Conquest and She-Wolves. And I thought I was getting paperbacks, and what I've got are hardbacks, so they look fabulous. So I think I'm set up now for autumn and winter, curled up with a good book. We don't have the roaring fire. I think we'd be allowed to here. I don't think it's a smokeless zone. But we used to put candles in the grate and make something that looked like a fire, if you like, with the candles. And the amount of soot that got everywhere, you would not believe, or maybe you would. So much as I adore the idea of an open fire, I'm not going anywhere near one in real life. That said, if somebody offered me a week in a quiet country hotel that had roaring fires in the rooms, I would curl up beside the fire quite happily for a week and just read. Maybe not quite cold enough to justify that yet. Oh, and there's one other possible treat in store. Georgette Heyer is mostly known for Regency romances, and she's known to have been pretty much her own severest critic, to the extent that there are books which were published in her lifetime which she subsequently withdrew. And I have found one of them, so it will be interesting to see whether, when I've read it, I think she was right so to do. At the moment, given that it is a modern reprinting based on a scan of the original publication, I am reading it using a Fresnel lens magnifier, which suggests it's not going to be one that I return to very often, just simply because of the inconvenience. Thus far, it's a spy story set in the reign of Charles II, and that's about as much as I can tell you at the moment. We are getting very close here. The very interesting thing about this is that the curve starts to go the other way as it gets to the corner because of the influence of the doubling back, so that what should be, what seems to be actually a fairly innocuous straight line, turns out to be a sort of slight sausage shape. We are nearly there. Now I'm noticing here that the bottom edges are in fact, bottom corners, in fact mirror one another, in that the last curve of the doubling back is on the vertical side and the cut line is at the bottom. Now I wonder whether I can let's see. So if I put that, I think, is where it needs to be. So now what I need to do fish out my gold work scissors. I think that is perfect. That's exactly the way I want it to look. Isn't it good when a plan comes together? So that is corner number 3. That's all for this episode. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed following along. Happy stitching!